Good morning, I'm Attorney Ben Crump. I'm here with Kedrick Crawford, the latest victim of this pattern of excessive force by the Baytown Police Department and his family, namely his mother, Valora, who actually was on the phone and heard the whole incident where she thought her son was going to be killed by the police. They're joined by the family of Pamela Turner, who, as you all know, because of this pattern of excessive force and abuse, was actually killed as a result of this brutality on minorities, on black people and Mexican people. That pattern is clearly established not by what we say, but by what you can see. There is video evidence in the recent years that show the Baytown Police Department pepper spraying a 50-year-old Hispanic grandmother, and the witnesses who were there declared that they called them wetbacks while they brutalized them. There's a 19-year-old Hispanic young man who had several injuries sustained in an encounter with Baytown Police Department. There's a 13-year-old African American who was beaten and tased by the Baytown Police Department until he passed out on April 4th, 2019. There was a 24-year-old African American who was brutalized on video by the Baytown Police Department. And you all remember Pamela Turner and that video that went viral where all America saw an unarmed black woman on the ground being shot and killed by a police officer in the most unjustifiable, unnecessary way. And now here we are yet again today with Kedrick Crawford. And you see the video where he asked, is he free to leave? And then 5 seconds later, he is being slammed to the ground, being tased, being punched. And we believe there's video that exists that has not been released yet that shows him being choked as well. So we're here today to make this plea and this demand that this pattern of abuse by the Baytown Police Department on minorities cease immediately. We want equal justice now. Baytown, you cannot continue to attack American citizens just because the color of their skin. This is not the America that we stand for. You're going to hear from Kedrick Crawford and his mother, and then you're going to hear from Pamela Turner family, her daughter Chelsea Rubin, and you will hear from her aunt Antoinette James. Then we'll try to answer some of your questions. First, we're going to hear from Mr. Kedrick Crawford and his mother. Take your time.
First of all, I would like to say that I'm most gracious to God that I'm still alive. And I do hate the fact that my mother had to hear this incident going on. I pulled in a HEB parking lot to allow my cell phone to load a GPS address. And in the process of that, I then went to the floorboard of my car to try to find some cigarettes that I had lost. And when I got up from there, I was Baytown Police Department pulled up and began to question me, and in the process, one thing led to another, and
it's all on video.
And they just began to harass me, and a phone call was made from a friend of mine, and I answered the phone call, and then the next thing you know, my mother called, and I told my mother that I was being harassed by police officers, And in the process, after that, it just went belligerent. I was beaten, and the footage is shown. I don't want to just go through it over and over, but I mean the footage is shown. You can watch it, whatever. But
What about your injuries? Where they're
well, actually, I'm hurting all over my body. I'm experiencing all kind of wounds in my chest and ribs hurting. My face is had been all messed up or whatever, but yeah, like I said,
what you will clearly be able to see when the medical records are released is obviously we know the abrasion on the left side of his face is from him being hit to the concrete. But what is even more troubling than that is the fact where
I was told
on his right side of his eye, the police actually admit that they were punching him. And he had to have stitches above his eye, and he had some damage caused to his eye from the police punching him. And remember, he committed no crime. No. And in that video, you hear 5 seconds after he says, "Am I free to go?" And the police say, "You're free to go." So the question is, how can you justify doing him like this after you just told him he was free to go? It is unjustifiable, and they haven't offered anything to justify that because they cannot. And Mother, do you want to say anything?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my son, Kedrick Crawford. I'm his mother. My name is Valora Crawford. I called my son. I was on the phone with him when this happened. When I heard him screaming. So I called my daughter and I told her, I said, those cops are beating my son. So thank you.
No, you're fine. And now you're going to hear from the family of Pamela James. Pamela Turner. And then we're going to take some questions from you. You hear from Chelsea and you hear from Antoinette, who many of you remember from them so passionately crying out for justice. Miss Chelsea Rubin.
When I seen the video of what happened to Kedrick Crawford, I was disgusted. The amount of excessive force that's being used the entire time is ridiculous. For what reason do 2 officers need to be tasing 1 man at one time? There's no reason. DA Kim Ogg, we had a meeting with you. You said that you would do the due process, that you would make sure what needs to be done is done. This is what happens when you stall. When you push it to the side and sweep it under the rug. You keep getting instances. Thank God it's not as worse as what happened to my mom. But the brutality keeps going on. It happens over and over and over. And it's going to keep happening until you do your job and do what you say you're going to do. That's all I have to say.
And now we will hear from Antoinette James. And it's very interesting what Chelsea said, because she talked about how 2 officers brutalized them, but there's a unknown, unidentified person in that video in a blue shirt who doesn't appear to be law enforcement, who's participating in this outrageous, brutal assault on this young man who, remember, committed no crime whatsoever. I mean, you have confirmed mass murderers who police treat better than they treated this unarmed black man. And there lies the problem. We fully expect Baytown Police Department to identify who this unknown, apparently civilian was, who was committing assault and battery in their presence, and they allowed them to do it. That's important, because now that takes on a gang mentality. Not only can the police beat us, but we allow civilians to beat unarmed minorities. That is not acceptable. Miss Antoinette?
On May 13, 2019, 10:40 p.m., my sister Pam was brutally taken away from us. Shortly after, we had a meeting with you, Kim Oz, DA Kim Oz, and you said to me that there would be an investigation and I should just be calm and take one step at a time. My question to you is, how long does it take for investigation to go on? It's clearly on the video. It's clearly on the video that my sister was wrongfully killed and her rights was taken away from her. I was watching one of the videos where you were speaking about how we the people hired you, voted for you, and you work for us. Well, I'm asking you to do your job. My sister blood is on Dela Cruz's hands. Don't let it be on yours too, because it's clear that the brutality that Baytown police is enforcing on people is going to continue. It's just fortunate that by the grace of God that Mr. Kendrick wasn't killed. But I'm telling you, Kim Oz, the next person, the next fatality, that blood is going to be on your hands if you don't do your job. You say you work for us, I'm asking you to do your job. If you don't have the video of my sister being murdered, I have it in my head, and I can play it back to you over and over.
And they can see it, Antoinette. And in short, what she's saying is what we said at the time she was killed. You don't need to say no more, show the video. Don't say no more, just show the video. Don't say no more, just show the video. To both of these matters.
Yeah. To all of them.
All 5 of them, that's correct. There are 5 video instances that we all can see of police brutality. When is this pattern going to stop in Baytown? We'll take some questions from you, and as much as we can, understanding that there's a bogus criminal charge now pending against Kendrick Crawford, and you know why they're charging him. It is to try to justify that unjustifiable assault and battery by these thuggish police officers who clearly did not care about the health and safety of Kendrick Crawford when they let somebody who was not even a law enforcement officer join in the assault and battery of this citizen. Yes, sir.
Sure. Mr. Crawford, if you can talk more about that. Where was this person? How did they get involved? And just walk us through how some random civilian can take part in this.
Like I told my attorneys, I didn't. You can see the footage, but I couldn't even see the guy. I mean, I know that somebody had me in a massive headlock trying to choke me, and was trying to feel like it was trying to take my head off my shoulders, actually. And by this time, I couldn't breathe at all. I was being punched while I was in the headlock. I was being punched and tased over and over and over. And I would love to know who this guy was, not so much for just, for revenge or anything like that, but at the same time, I would just like for these people to understand, I mean, that I was going to die. And I'm not looking at this thing as, I know that for a fact that they was not trying to just beat up a person. They was actually trying to kill them.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, we don't know why they did what they did, but why did you think you were going to die that night?
well, I mean, when your life just flashing before your eyes totally, I mean, I'm just crying out for my life. I mean, I was being choked. I had no type of oxygen. I was just bleeding, period, and the officers themselves were telling me that I was bleeding. I mean, so I mean, it was just trauma. It was a lot of trauma. It's crazy.
Were you resisting? You consider yourself? Do you think you were resisting officer commands?
No, sir. No, not at all.
What did he do to you
No.
resisting?
When you fear for your life, you can't think of resisting. You think of surviving.
He was told that he could
First
go.
of all, they were the ones who told
Do you mind walking up to the microphone?
You went up to the microphone just now.
No, I was actually told that I was free to go. And if you watch the footage, you would see yourself that my hands were behind my back, and I don't see how, in any kind of way, he was saying that I was actually taking my hand from behind my back, because it seems to me that he actually pushed my hand away to make this thing be, to take action to where they could do what they wanted to do.
We're going to analyze the video. You have the video. You can look at it. Hopefully, we're going to get all of the video so you can analyze it frame by frame. I know our experts will do that there. We hope that we don't see police doing inappropriate maneuvers, as I have seen in other cases around America, to be able to try to create a scenario to seem like a person is resisting when they are not resisting.
Right.
So we're going to answer those questions. Yes, sir.
When I asked the Baytown police about the status of the internal affairs investigation yesterday, they said that they've reached out to Mr. Crawford, that he has not talked to internal affairs. So
Right.
Is that true?
Now, he has not talked to the people who assaulted and battered him and tried to justify this brutality. He thinks it's just going to be a whitewash.
How has the response differed between, from what you've gotten from Baytown PD, from Pamela Turner's incident?
It does seem to be a pattern there in the same response they gave regarding Pamela Turner is very similar to what they're saying in response to Kendrick Crawford. They're using all these very technical terms that we attempted to take control of him by giving him open hand, they didn't call it punches, they said
Open and closed hands.
Open and closed hands to his face. These technical terms. They punching
Right now,
a man
I don't
who has been.
I don't have any feeling in this here. I'm dead on this here. This is dead. No life in this part of my arm. I'm in my thumb, all this, and I'm waking up every day.
And what did they say about your eyes?
And yeah, it's just I'm waking up every day just praying that I can get life back into different limbs, and it's still not there. So
I have a question. Prior to this incident, what they said was a routine traffic stop. What actually did they say they were actually stopping you for? And the other question is, had you had any run-ins with these police officers?
Never.
Have you ever met them?
never. I wasn't even stopped by the police. I wasn't even pulled over. I pulled over myself into the parking lot.
So what did they say that they were actually causing?
They just told me I looked suspicious, and I got out my car fast.
Now, haven't we heard that before? A black man,
Time and time again.
a law
After I
abiding citizen
continually
looks
asked,
suspicious.
told them about the insurance, I had an insurance and everything. They told me it wasn't a problem. They were just acting sarcastic and acting like it was a game.
Yeah, and you do hear the sarcasm in their voice on the video. Almost as if that these assaults
And
are
one cop actually told me
humorous
he
to
would
them.
freaking drop me.
They told you what?
He would freaking drop me. I'll freaking drop you.
If you move. And that's a real
I mean, that was just aggressive for no
when
reason.
you think
I mean,
about that. You tell a person, if you move, I'm going to drop you. That is saying, I will kill you if you move. This is a law-abiding citizen who hasn't broken any law. You know, we have, again, confirmed mass murderers who are young white men who get given more consideration than law-abiding, unarmed African-American
I hadn't posed any threat at all.
Hispanic
And he just,
people.
Out of the blue, just told me I'll freaking drop you.
Okay.
I mean,
Any
I
other
mean,
Is
questions?
there anything in the car that they were
we'll take a
looking
few.
for? Did they say they were searching your car for anything?
well, they proclaimed that I had some antibiotics in my car that I was prescribed from a spider bite. And they told me that was
Yeah. You know what's profound about that there?
I
They
wasn't
tried to
even charged.
charge him with that initially, but it was shown that it was antibiotics and not any drugs, but yet they then had to come up with another bogus criminal charge, and they worked with the DA to come up with something, and what they came up with was a resisting arrest and assault on a law enforcement officer. Look at that video.
And the
Do
officer
you
said
see
he had a
him
scratch on his arm.
assault anybody, or do you see him being assaulted and battered? You look at the video. You all can judge for yourself who is the assaulter and the batterer, and who is the victim here.
Have you been able to obtain video from the HEB parking lot?
No, not at this time.
In the video, it shows the body cam actually fall to the ground, or do you know what happened in that instance where it goes dark and you can only hear sound? What exactly happened? And do you think that's going to affect the actual investigation or your case?
Well, he obviously was getting his head beat into the ground, so he doesn't know. But there's a question whether it was intentionally cut off or not.
Right.
We have to look at all these things. Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't reaching for a camera. I wasn't reaching for anything. I don't see how they.
Well, we're going to the Department of Justice. We're asking them to not only look at this latest instance of police brutality, this pattern of excessive force against minorities based on race. We believe this is a racial issue. It is. And we want them to look at Pamela Turner's matter, not individually, but as a pattern. The 54-year-old Hispanic grandmother who they call wetback, as a pattern. The 19-year-old Hispanic boy on video being hit and tased, as a pattern. The 13-year-old black boy who is beaten and tased, as a pattern. The 24-year-old black man on video who's being beaten, as a pattern. We believe there is a pattern in practice of excessive force on minorities in Baytown, and that is textbook racial profiling discrimination.
Yes.
Did Miranda come office ultimately accepted the charge against Mr. Crawford. When we talk about the meeting that took place of wanting there to be justice for Pamela Turner, what happened, and the claim, at least from the district attorney's office, that they're going to leave no stone unturned, what does it mean, you think, that they accepted the charge on this?
You have something to say to it? Well, okay. Well, right now, Pamela Turner's family is still waiting for the district attorney's office to give them equal justice now. Due process of the law, just as they would do if that police officer would have been killed, how Pam Turner was killed. We expect equal treatment, equal protection under the law. Now, it's an interesting question you ask, because Mr. Crawford certainly thinks he committed no crime. Is it the DA office accepts the police word more than they accept citizens' word, even when it is contradicted by objective video evidence? That is going to be a question that we have to vet and get to the crux of. We believe these bogus charges are going to be summarily thrown out when a jury looks at this video. Hopefully the DA would look at this video and say, this man committed no crime. This man was a victim here. The police are trying to justify their unjustifiable acts.
Was he ever read Miranda rights?
Were you read your Miranda rights?
I was taken by ambulance, so I couldn't even hear. I was bleeding out of one ear. If the rights were even read, I wouldn't have been able to hear him, because I was beaten so severely to the point to where I was out of there. So I couldn't tell what rights were being read, because by that time I was totally I was beaten. Yeah.
All right.
And
We
Mr.
go.
Crump, the Baytown Chief Doherty has instructed his Internal Affairs Department to move forward with the investigation. He's instructed the Internal Affairs Division to move forward with the investigation since Mr. Crawford has failed to
Hey, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do what they're going to do. If he talk to them, don't talk to them, they're going to conclude that the police was justified yet again in assaulting and battering another minority. Show me one instance where they have ever found that a police officer violated their policy and procedure when they assaulted and brutalized a black or a Mexican person.
Why they keep doing it?
So we're not going to continue to expect a different result while they're doing the same things. That is the definition for insanity. And we ain't crazy. We know what this is.
We know.
All right. Mr. Jeremiah is going to say the last word, and then we're going to keep you updated when we get further video.
I'm concerned because I had a nightmare with Pamela Turner when she said I was pregnant and wound up dead. I had a nightmare.
Yeah.
Now I had another nightmare. I heard a man say twice, "Am I free to go?" They said yes. The whole world seen that. I looked at it 10 times. I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. Then I put my glass on. They say, "Am I free to go?" They said yes. Right? He never moved his arm. He never moved his feet. Immediately, they beat him almost to death. They choked him. Some guy from with HEB suit on tackled him. They tased him in the back. They choked him. They beat him. They put his face, and his mama would never be the same. Listen to her son almost die. He thinking he gonna die. What do we have to do to keep showing y'all? We gonna keep playing these monkey games? The boy almost died. Ben Quankers all over the world is just asking for justice. 2 times in a row. May I leave? Yes. May I leave? Yes. And right after that, they almost beat him to death. If he's free to leave, that means he didn't do no wrong. So how did he wind up with a case? Now all he says he got a case. He did no harm. None whatsoever. Y'all know it, and we know it. So stop reporting this fake stuff. Report the truth and let God bless y'all. Let him bless this mother. Stop doing that. Stop making this job so hard. Do the truth just for once. I'm free to go once. I'm free to go twice. Then he almost wound up dead. So please, answer for yourself.
Very good points. And I will say, this unknown civilian, was he an employee of that business, or was he just some random guy on the street? Either way,
He had a uniform on too.
Either way, he commits assault and battery on another citizen, and the police does nothing to him.
He's a hero now.
That has to be answered. Thank you.